All right, I think we are up and running. All right, here we go. Hello, how's everyone doing? I'm the weather dude here. We are going to be tracking the severe weather, and it's very dangerous. The severe weather that we are seeing. We're going to be tracking it live for you guys in today's video. So if you haven't already, be sure to like the stream, as of course with the YouTube algorithm, this will get it out to more people. I hope you guys enjoy. If you got anything to say about the severe weather, don't feel shy. Definitely use the chat. I will do my best to read it. And without further ado, let's get right into it. All right. So here's a current look at the radar. All right, we're gonna go through some Storm Prediction Center maps as well. We're gonna be going to the live radar. Um, I want to be sure to go through every single warning that we have just to make sure that we're leaving nobody out here. And hello, Jones RMJ and everything weather. Thank you guys for using the chat. How are you guys doing? Yes, this is a very dangerous situation. As happy or as excited as I might sound to track it, it's definitely a very dangerous situation we're having. Some of the worst is what the Storm Prediction Center is predicting, right? Like we got the worst graphics, the worst colors here, and we're gonna be going through it all here in this video. All right, so I'm going to pull up my drawing software real quick, and then we will get started. So as you can see, we have the radar in front of us. We have our Storm Prediction Center radar here. Let me just pull it up. There we go. All right. So as you can see, there are definitely some banding. Definitely a lot of thunderstorms, as you can see, through Mississippi, through Alabama, and we're gonna go through as well and look at some of the ones that are individually named, individually warned. All right, so there's definitely the radar looks very lit up, as you can see right here. All right, so and yes, Dan, it has died down a little bit. I've heard of a couple tornado warned storms that have died down a little bit, but it's definitely going to be refiring potentially overnight as well. There are a few storms that we do currently have that are actually tornado warned. All right, and hopefully you guys can bear with me. It has been a hot minute actually since I can't remember the last time. It's been a while since I've gone live, so I hope you guys are still enjoying. But we do have a tornado warning out. This particular one is for East Central Dallas County, not to be confused with Dallas, Texas. It's actually in Alabama. All right. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado near Old Cahaba Park. I hope I'm saying that right. 9 miles southwest of Selma, West Selma. It's moving northeast at 30 miles an hour, so not ridiculously fast. For a severe system, usually they do move a bit faster than that. But this is a tornado warned storm, radar indicated rotation, and I can tell why, because you can see there is definitely we're definitely seeing a hook there, and you can tell by the purple lines we're getting a southerly flow, right? So you can definitely tell we're getting that warm Gulf moisture being feeded in there, and especially in Alabama. Like I saw the areas. If you were watching this morning, it was pretty chilly. All right, and not only that, but cloudy as well. But then just like that, the atmosphere really got itself going. All right, but flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. So be sure you are in the safe spot of your house. It was same thing with any tornado or severe warning storm, right? You want to be in that safe spot, whether it's the interior of your house, away from exterior walls. A basement would be the best bet, or even better yet than that, a storm shelter if you guys are lucky to have one there. All right, so again, this is pretty much like just west of Montgomery. All right, and there is another tornado warned storm that's also accompanied with flash flood warnings and aerial flood warnings. All right, this one is towards northern Alabama, kind of south of Huntsville, between Huntsville and Birmingham, Alabama. And yes, everything weather, Selma, Alabama has definitely been hit hard. I feel like Mississippi and Alabama have both been getting hit really hard. All right, so let's take a look at the next tornado warned storm. This one is in north central Coleman County. This is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado, and it all depends on the warning specifically. Some of them tornado may be ongoing. Some of them conditions may be very conducive for tornado, and that's what we're seeing right now. But there has been some confirmed rotation with these tornado and quarter-size hail with this one, right? Flying debris again will, as the same as the one before, will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. So get in that shelter spot. All right, tree damage is likely. Roofs, windows, and vehicles will all be destroyed. All right, and the red shades that you see here, these are all flood warnings, particularly river flood warnings. All right, and then the green, we have aerial flood warnings are in effect, right? And don't leave that out. I know the tornado threat, and we're going to be going through some maps and some models here pretty shortly, and we're going to interchange between that and the radar. But there will definitely be severe weather, tornadoes, but don't let that distract you from the flood threat either, guys. I mean, there still will be a lot of flooding. Look toward this is northern Mississippi, I'm pretty sure, and you can see like look at the look at all the convection that we have. So even if you don't get severe weather, you're probably going to get a lot of rainfall, right? Because you can see how widespread this is. All right, this is a very serious threat that's evolving, and I think it was pretty wise to. That's why I wanted to live stream a little bit later because I know that the threat overnight was going to start getting really bad. All right, and you can see. Look at down in Louisiana. Look at this band that we had. Just this line of storms. That looks very deadly. All right, through southeastern Louisiana. You can see accompanied with it is a severe thunderstorm warning. All right, now we're getting closer to New Orleans. It's just west of New Orleans, but I got news for you. New Orleans, it is not too far away from you guys. I gotta say. All right, Southern Ascension Parish. I hope I'm saying all these right. I try my best with these. St. James Parish in southeastern Louisiana. All right, and this goes until 7:30 Central Time, 8:30 Eastern Time. All right, now look at this though. This line is moving east at 50 miles per hour. And that is pretty. That is pretty insane. I have seen storms that have moved faster, but 50 is pretty insane. So when that line is moving faster, the straight line wind threat definitely goes up. 60-mile-an-hour wind gust, nickel-sized hail. All right, expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees with that one. All right. We're gonna look at one more severe thunderstorm warning. Then we're gonna go to some storm prediction center maps and models. Then we're gonna interchange between that. We're gonna come back to this as well. But look at this line here that just moved through Hattiesburg. You can see it's almost like a backward C, right? That famous straight line wind, right? You can definitely see the backward C motion just moved through Hattiesburg. All right, and this is also accompanied with river flood warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings. All right. So this is moving northeast at 55 miles an hour, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts as well. This is radar indicated roof, siding, and tree damage. We got places like Richton, Clara, Beaumont, New Augusta, and McLean in Mississippi, eastern Mississippi, all are going to be affected by this. All right, so we're going to flip back to some of the radar and some of the storm prediction center graphics. So if you guys haven't already, please be sure to like this stream so this gets out to more people, right? I'm sure you guys do understand the YouTube algorithm, and liking the stream definitely does help. And maybe subscribe if you haven't already. All right, and we're moving on to the Storm Prediction Center match. So as you guys probably can tell already, the high risk has been added, or it's been added like yesterday, I believe, and not only added, but it's been expanded a little bit, right? So now northeastern Louisiana, central Mississippi, and even western Alabama now included in that as well. All right, and even outside of that, that's almost 3 million people inside of that pink zone, right? There you got another 6 million outside of that, 5.5 million in the moderate zone, right? So definitely a very dangerous threat. Our tornado threat, of course, you can see we have like it's like pretty much every color on this map. It's a very colorful map, I gotta say. All right, but inside that hatch zone where it says significant severe, that's where you want to really be. That's where the most serious threat is. All right, and the tornado watches that have been issued. If you guys are familiar with what a PDS tornado watch is, I just know they are very rare, and it's called potentially dangerous situation or particularly dangerous situation. All right, and those kind of tornado watches, a PDS tornado watch, does not get issued very often. So that's when you know this storm definitely does mean business. All right, and even through tomorrow, look how many people are going to be in the moderate. All right, and again, tomorrow could be just as bad today. Could the threat go down a little bit? Maybe, but it's going to be impacting a lot more people because now we're talking about like the East Coast. All right, not the I-95 quarter metroplex, but south of there, right? The southern portion of Mid-Atlantic and the southeast coast, right? You got over like 30, 40 million plus people just for tomorrow's threat as well. All right. Now we're going to look at some mesoscale discussions. I love these because they're nice and detailed, and they really tell you what's going on real time, right? So this is mesoscale discussion number 213. In this red zone here, severe threat, including tornadoes, is expected to continue. All right, and you can see the low. Here's the placement of the low. All right, and you got the warm front and you got the cold front. So in between there, this is your warm sector, and you can see that warm front has been lifted through. Right, we got the warm sector. It is definitely looking conducive for storm development. All right, now this is mesoscale discussion number 212. We just looked at 213. All right, so this inside this brown zone, risk for tornadoes, a couple which could be very strong, and that's the thing too, right? The tornadoes, they could be strong, but also long tracked, right? And we hate to see those kind of tornadoes. You know, if there's going to be a tornado, we just want it to be quick and over with. But some of these could be strong and long tracking as well. All right, it's going to continue through mid to late evening, possibly the overnight as well. All right, and again, you can see how the frontal systems are set up. And in this one, so those two are from the Storm Prediction Center. This one's actually from the Weather Prediction Center. And this is a mesoscale discussion for northeastern Mississippi, northern central Alabama as well. All right, and this is where we can see areas of flash flooding from repeated supercells. The supercells are going over the same areas again. All right, and you can see, look at these individual cells that are clustered together into one big area of precipitation. So any tornadoes that inside of this batch will probably be maybe rain wrap tornadoes, right? And also we do have saturated soils as well. All right, and the rainfall threat, right? The rainfall threat is going to be very serious. We got a slight threat, all right, southeast through the portions of the center part of the country, St. Louis, for today, and I-95 corridor, maybe even as we head into tomorrow, all right? But that's potentially a discussion for much later. All right, so we're going to be going through the high-resolution model now. All right, I love looking at this model, right? It definitely does tell it how it is for sure. And we're going to be looking at the latest precipitation here. So I definitely did just set this up, but we're going to go through and look at the latest, go to the latest run here. There we go. All right, so as you can see the storms moving through, all right? And some of these are going to be packing quite a punch. You can see through northeastern Mississippi, western Alabama. You can see that is where we have some of the strongest storms, excuse me, as they move through. And again, you can see the line really form overnight. So, right, it's going to be lasting through this evening, but then overnight as well. So, definitely a long-lasting threat. And again, also it's going to be lasting well into tomorrow as well. All right. So you can see the line moving through. Right, the line moves through Georgia. All right, and then it may weaken in the early morning, maybe, but then it could read fire in the afternoon for those regions. All right, so let's look at the Cape that we've been having, because the Cape has gone down. The storms have already started, right? So the Cape has done its job, but you can still see we have Cape values between 2 and 3,000 joules per kilogram, and that's pretty high, right? Higher than we saw with the severe threat from about 4 days ago that we saw in Texas. We got it there in southern portions of Mississippi, eastern Louisiana. We have the highest Cape value still remaining. Let me actually refresh this. There we go. All right, and you can see we're getting the latest data come in here. Now, again, the Cape will not be as high. Still some there, but again, that's okay because the storms are now making their way through. So, like I said before, the Cape has already kind of done its job. All right, now look at the shear, because the shear is going to be very intense here in some areas, right? Let's pull up the shear, and you can see where the storms are ongoing in Alabama. Look at some of the reds we have, right? Like I say in my severe weather videos a lot, right? It's important that if you get the strongest shear at the same time as you're getting a precipitation, that's when you get the hail and tornado threat. Well, the storms are here, and some of the shear that the HRRR model is pointing out right here, right? Like this is pretty much updated every hour or so. So we're getting the latest data in here from the HRRR model, right? We're talking about shear over 70, 80, 90 knots, and some of those winds could be translated to the surface. Maybe not quite as strong, but possibly almost as strong, right? So that's why you're going to see these winds 60, 70 miles per hour, all right? And let's look at the supercell composites, right? You see what we're looking at right now. You can see the supercell development is going to continue, right? You see conditions in Mississippi and Alabama are definitely going to be conducive for supercell development through the overnight, right? You can see the line moving through. Even with the line, even though it forms into more of a line of storms overnight, you're still going to see the potential for supercells within that line. So that's what the HRRR model is predicting, all right, right there. All right, so then there's the line moving through early morning, and then maybe some potential supercells firing in North Carolina for the day Thursday. All right, so we are going to go back to the radar real quick, and then we're going to continue on with the models because I want to get some of the latest in here with the radar data. So we're actually going to close this out and open this back up again. There we go. All right, so you can see, again, we still have the tornado warning west of Montgomery. I want to talk about we talked about a couple of the tornado warning storms thus far. Now I want to start talking about some of these severe thunderstorm warnings, right? Because these are still very dangerous as well. All right, so look at some of the severe thunderstorm warnings that we have. All right, this one is eastern Mississippi, and it's a very strong line, right? Like I said, guys, even if you don't get the tornadoes, you're definitely going to be seeing, right, the straight line wind damage. So look at that band, all right? I know it's a little bit hard to tell because it's in the warning zone. Actually, for a brief minute, I'm actually going to disable warnings. So you guys, just so you guys can see it, like look at this band, like right there, that line. That is a very intense line, right? So if you're in that line, all right, I'm actually going to pull up the warning so we can read the rest of it. I want to pull it up again. All right, here we go. So this is pretty much just northeast of Philadelphia, Mississippi. It's kind of pushed through you guys. Philadelphia, Mississippi itself is dealing with some heavy rain. So this is a National Weather Service from Jackson, Mississippi, right? We got Choctaw County in central Mississippi, Noxubee County. Some of these counties are very unique to pronounce. Northern Kemper County in east central Mississippi. So this is basically eastern Mississippi, right on the Alabama line, pretty much. All right. So severe thunderstorms are located along the line extending from 7 miles southeast of Lodi to 6 miles south of Ackerman. All right. So this is moving again northeast at 55 miles an hour, 60-mile-an-hour wind gust, and again roof siding and tree damage. All of what you're going to be expecting from a severe warm storm like this. All right. And then don't forget, if we move a little bit further north here towards Arkansas, we got a lot of flood warnings. Like on top of the tornado threat, on top of the hail and wind threat, we got the flooding threat, all right? And not just flash flooding either, river flooding after that, all right? So look at some of these flood warnings. We're going to go through a couple here, right? This is a flood warning for the Mississippi River, all right, at Tunica-Mahoon Landing, all right? Again, I'm trying my very best to pronounce these. And one thing you guys have to remember about the Mississippi River is that it all flows down here, all right? So when you got flood warnings at the top of or farther north in the river, you can only see flood warnings are starting on the southern parts of the river as well, right? Because the river flows and empties out in the Gulf of Mexico, all right? And we also have rain down by the Gulf of Mexico, rain and severe storms as well. All right, so that's something to keep in mind. So we got the flood warning here. Again, Tunica-Mahoon Landing, at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 10 Central Time, the stage was at 30.7 feet, and flood stage is 30 feet. So just above flood stage there. All right, and we got just north of Memphis as well. I know Memphis was getting pounded. This particular river is 1.4 feet above flood stage. All right, we go a little bit farther north than that. This one is also at 1.5 feet, so about 18 inches of water above its flood stage. All right, this is the Mississippi River at, I believe that you say it as Caruthersville. All right, again, I'm trying my best with these. All right, now look at some of the aerial flood warnings that we have, and even flash flood warnings right in here. Let me go to the flash flood warning real quick. There we go. So this one was issued by the NWS in Huntsville, Alabama. This is for northwestern Cullman County in north central Alabama and southern Morgan County in north central Alabama as well, right? Look, and if you read the description, right, you can just see Doppler radar indicates thunderstorms producing heavy rain. This is around 8:06, so about maybe 10, 15 minutes ago, 8:06 Eastern Time. Between 2 and 4 inches of rain have already fallen, and you can see by the live radar, more rain is still coming down. And then you're going to deal with that line that I just talked about earlier in eastern Mississippi that you're going to have to be dealing with after that. All right, so definitely looking like a very busy time here, right? So this is near Highway 36, south of Summersville. Flash flooding is caused by thunderstorms. Again, radar indicated flooding of small creeks and streams. We could see some river flood warnings pop up in this area as well. All right, so some location you can see flash flooding. We got Somerville, West Point, Coal Springs, including that Lacey Spring as well, a particular spot I know in Alabama. All right, and again, update on the tornado warning storm. Let's see how far it has gotten here. So let's go ahead and zoom in on the tornado warning storm, and you can see this is pretty much right over Selma at this point. All right, again, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. Flying debris, you got to watch out for that. All right, if you look at the signature, definitely looks like there's some debris flying around there. Some of these storms, even if they do lose their strength, they can fire up really quickly. So that's why you gotta stay tuned for the updates. For the weather service, have those weather radios on because things can change with the severe weather. Things can change very quickly, right? And even way out ahead, right? Like look at where we are now. We are in Macon, Georgia, right? Supposed to see the storms overnight into early Thursday. All right. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for Twiggs County in central Georgia, and we have eastern Houston County in central Georgia as well. All right. This is moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. I will call this a supercell. All right. It seems to be by itself. It's not really attached to any line. It's pretty much out ahead of the main activity. All right. Perry, Jeffersonville, Warner Robins, Danville, all places you can see there on the bottom right of your screen that could be affected by this. All right. So 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail. And again, this is moving northeast at about 40 miles an hour. So hail damage to vehicles is expected. You got wind damage, of course, strong winds to roof, siding, and trees. Right, and a river flood warning on the Georgia and South Carolina border. Right, we got stage. It's at 22.5 feet as of 11 or 10 Eastern Time this morning. Flood stage is 19 feet. So that river is probably way overflowing its banks. That's by about 3.5 feet right there. All right, and you can just see the rain shield. This part of this will be moving into the northern mid-Atlantic and northeast as a heavy rain threat for tomorrow. and then producing the severe weather threat for the southeast. So this isn't just the southeast event, all right? Severe weather aspect, yes, this is just for the southeast, all right? And actually, if we are getting the latest updates here, and the tornado warning has just been expanded, right? So this, the first tornado warning you can see right here has now been extended, all right, to the east. So now it includes, let's see, northwestern Autauga County and east central Dallas County, right? It's kind of been expanded a little bit more. It was just this little guy, and now tornado warning kind of got expanded a little bit. So there's an update on that one right there. Again, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located near Selma is moving northeast at 30 miles an hour. This is a tornado. This is radar indicated rotation, and there will definitely be tree damage, roofs, windows, and vehicles. All right, this particular storm does look pretty bad, especially right in the middle of that there. I would not want to be in the middle of that thing. All right, but there's definitely looking like a lot of damage could be coming down with that system as well. All right, no really other tornado warnings. The one in northern Alabama may have actually expired. I cannot seem to find that one. I don't see any more pings, so that one may have expired. But there is still a special. I believe this is a marine warning. All right, if you live Lake Pontchartrain in the north side of New Orleans, that's Lake Pontchartrain. All right, there's definitely special marine warnings are very bad as well, and that's where you can see the winds passing 40 miles an hour. Of course, within the storm itself, it could be much higher than that. But as you can see, we got the southerly flow coming in. All right, so if you're at the Gulf Coast, even if you're not seeing severe weather, watch out for maybe even some coastal flooding. Right, you do have a southerly flow, and at high tide, you may need to watch out. But this system, I want to come back to this. All right, this is in southeastern Louisiana. This is a very intense. I'm actually going to once again shut off warnings real quick, so you guys can see the system. All right, like look at this. This is a line of storm, but the line kind of looks a little chubbier, right? Which means you're going to be in the precipitation for longer, but it's still maintaining that line form, right? We got another piece over there moving right over Lake Pontchartrain, and that is what's caused the special marine warning there. But just south of that, right near Morgan City, you gotta remember, guys, these places not too long ago got impacted by Hurricane Laura. So some places may actually, believe it or not, still be recovering from that. All right, so let's re-enable warnings. All right, and actually, did the severe thunderstorm warning go away? It actually might have. All right, because as you can see, it did actually lose. Yeah, that actually makes sense. I mean, the storm did lose its line shape. All right, so it may actually just turn into an all-rain event. So that is definitely good news, right? So severe thunderstorm warnings apparently have been dropped. But we do have, because we're getting continuous updates in here. All right, but the tornado warning, like I said, the one just west of Montgomery has been expanded. All right, if we look at, I believe even the Mississippi system might have got expanded. I see a severe thunderstorm warning box a little bit further north. All right, we got 2 areas now. All right, so yeah, this particular one, the southern piece, seems to be moving, like this piece right here. This is the one I was originally talking about. The one that's moving northeast at 55 miles an hour, which is, again, very fast speeds. But the one to the north of that is moving northeast at only 35 miles an hour. So maybe a little bit more of a heavy rain threat, all right, with that one. But again, and that's also why, like, look, that makes sense because the northern piece has a flash flood warning attached to it because there's heavier rain from that one. So that does make sense. So the northern piece definitely moving slower than the southern piece. Again, guys, if you haven't already, be sure to like the stream so it gets out to more people because it definitely needs to. All right, there's definitely a lot of people in the southeast that are watching the weather right now, and they do definitely need to see the latest that's going on. So be sure to like the stream as always. Thank you guys so much. But you can see, let's look actually a little bit further south towards southwestern Georgia. Right, a few of these, like, I wouldn't call them supercells yet, but definitely some more isolated storms that are forming. Right, you can see they're just popping up. The convection, the southerly flow moving right along with the way the winds are flowing. Right. These storms are making their way from south to north. And watch out because these could get severe warned at any minute. Moving right over I-65 on the near the Georgia-Florida border. I think these systems, these ones I'll talk about right here, these little bands, all right, definitely watch out because those could wreak some havoc as well. All right, so let's go back and look, because we still have to look at the upcoming forecasts here. All right, so let's look at the Supercell composite. Where once again we're returning to the HER model. All right, and as you can see, let's pull up the HER model here. Let's move this over here just a little bit. All right, so you can see, look at some of the supercells. We're getting the latest data in here. You can see in eastern Mississippi, frankly, where we have the severe warning right now, is where some of the higher potential for supercells could play out. All right, and you can see that does continue overnight in places like Alabama. And don't think that areas farther north here won't see any tornado activity. No, 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 right? That's just saying this is just saying where the supercells could be. Let's pull up now the significant tornado parameter map, and this will really show you, all right, where we can see some of the tornado danger. Let me see the 23Z. All right, that's not really fully out yet, so we're going to stick to 22Z for right now until that one fully comes out, which it probably will soon. All right, so look at the significant tornado parameters, right? In those reds and purples, that's where some of the most dangerous tornado activity could be setting up here. Eastern Mississippi, as well as western Alabama, right? As we move on forward in time, again, similar to how it was before, the significant tornado danger through Alabama. This is like 2 o'clock in the morning even. This is overnight now, and then it moves into Georgia and takes more of a line shape, right? Still very dangerous, all right, as we head through the day on Thursday. All right, let's pull up the surface-based cape, but this time, this is the surface cape, but now we have the wind direction. There's changing of the winds with height, all right? So that is definitely going to be very important. So let's take a look at those. And Jason asks, any of those severe storms going to hit the northeast Alabama? Actually, that is a very good question. And yes, northeast Alabama, I mean, it's pretty much the entire southeast, with the exception maybe of like central and southern Florida. But yes, northeast Alabama, if we do pull up the latest radar here, right? As you can see, this is central Alabama, but northeastern Alabama has got a lot of river flood warnings. The warm front is kind of still lifting its way north. It has made its way pretty far north, but as it continues to lift through, you can see the severe lines, the severe storm warnings that we see in eastern Mississippi are going to make their way through northern Alabama as well. All right, but northern Alabama, I'm not seeing too many severe warnings. I'm seeing more flood warnings and river flood warnings. All right, but definitely some severe activity as we continue to head through the night. All right, because this activity, again, most of it is making its way east, and some of it northeast as well. So good question there from Jason. Keep the questions coming, guys, if you have any. All right, so let's look now again at the changing of the winds with height. All right, you can see that we definitely do have some, right? Like look at Mississippi, right? This is actually, let me pull up the 22Z again. All right, gotta make sure we're refreshing here. All right, so here we go. Here we are, and you can see this is pretty much around right now. All right, let me actually advance a little bit. And you can see, look at the red bars. The surface winds are coming right out of this direction. All right, and then you have the 5,000 feet winds indicated by the blue arrows moving from a southwesterly direction. And that's the perfect recipe for those rotating storms to potentially, maybe even become tornadoes, right? But you see a lot of these storms are going to be circulating because of what I'm showing you right here, right? Where we got southerly winds at the surface, southwesterly winds a few thousand feet up. So that's one of the very important things when we talk about severe weather. All right, and again, look at Alabama too. Alabama's like even worse. You can clearly see it, right? South wind and then like almost like a west-southwest wind, so even more turning of the winds with height there in Alabama as we head towards, this is about midnight here. Right, and then again, you're going to see the event play out in North Carolina. We got the winds turning like this, surface winds right here, 5,000 feet winds right there. You can definitely see that's where we could see the event play out in North Carolina, South Carolina, even Georgia. All right, as we head into tomorrow. All right, so now let's look at briefly some of the NAM 3KM data because we look at the HERB model. All right, and then we're going to go back to look at the latest radar, all right, as well. So let's go ahead and look at that. All right, so let's pull up the NAM 3KM right here. As you can see, all right, look at the severe storms that we're seeing blossoming in northern Alabama. Like I said, give it time. This is going to be making its way a little bit further to the north as well, right? Not just due east. Again, storm activity in western Mississippi, you can see it there as well, right? And as you continue to head through the overnight, it takes more of a line shape, and that's very, like, we are seeing some lines now, but this will become like one huge destructive line. And I hate to say it like this, but the southeast, after the severe weather, the southeast may not look the same in some areas. I really do mean that, because this is going to be like some of the worst severe weather tornado outbreaks that we've seen in a pretty long time. All right, and trust me, we've had some very bad ones. All right, so it all depends on who specifically got hit. Like if you didn't get hit, you'll see maybe this is a little bit worse. Right, it all depends on who got hit with which severe weather event. But this will definitely be going into history books. This has definitely been one of the worst severe weather events I've seen in a pretty long time. Like if the Storm Prediction Center puts a high risk on the map, like let me see, right here. Not only is the high risk there, but it's just It's covering almost 3 million people just in that high threat, right? You add up all these numbers, right? Like if you were to add up all these numbers down here, that's a good 40 plus million people just today alone. You're gonna tack on another 40 million maybe for tomorrow. All right, so definitely keep that in mind. All right, so let's go through and let's continue looking at the NAM 3KM model. So as you can see, there's simulated radar. Like, look at the line of storms. It just continues. This is like, we're talking 7 o'clock in the morning at this point. All right, western Georgia here, eastern Alabama. As you can see, a line of storms moves through towards the morning. All right, and then we'll see maybe the line died down, but then reblossoming of storms, as you can see right there, through the day Thursday in the Georgia and the Carolinas. So we'll see how that event shapes up there as well. All right. So look at the mixed layer cape again. The cape will be slowly dying down. It really doesn't matter at this point because these storms have already gotten the energy feeded into them, and now they just have to maintain their strength. That's what these storms here have to worry about. All right. So you can see 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram in that orange shading right there. All right. And again, this will slightly dissipate, and then of course the storms have already gotten their energy feed into them. And then there you go. And then we're going to see some energy being fed into the Carolinas for the event on Thursday. All right. So we're gonna come back to the NAM in a little bit. We're gonna cut back to the radar now. Let's take a look at the radar. All right, I'm actually gonna close this out and open it back up again so we get the latest here. All right. So it looks like the tornado warning. When I said it got expanded, I think they extended it farther east, and then the western portion they kind of cut out. Right. So the eastern portion is still here. So I think the official, if you want to call it like downtown, Selma is actually kind of out of it, but you guys are still technically in the brunt of the system. But the worst of it is just here northeast there for Selma, Alabama. Again, and this is only moving at 30 miles an hour, right? So this might be, I mean, say a tornado does touch down, it may not be a very fast moving tornado, right? The storm's only moving at 30 miles an hour. Most severe weather and the lines that I've seen have usually moved 40, 50, 60 plus miles per hour, right? So this is moving a bit slower, and that also does concern me with, the potential for flooding within this as well, all right? All right, this could even be a rain rat tornado, all right? But this one, it doesn't seem to be, like a rain rat tornado would probably form if the tornado warning were to be like up here, because this is where we're seeing more of the rainfall, right? Like kind of up in this region here, all right? So let's continue to look at some of the severe thunderstorm warnings. That seems to be the tornado warning that I see. There's a lot of severe warnings. I see a ton of river flood warning. I've seen a ton of river flood warnings here. You can see those indicated by the red. All right. But let's look, all right, at the severe thunderstorm warning. Let's go. And has now been expanded into western Alabama as well. Remember I said it was eastern Mississippi is included in western Alabama. All right. So if we look at this right here, you can see still moving northeast at 55 miles an hour, 60-mile-an-hour wind gust, even higher than that in some spots, right? New Augusta, you got Butler, Chatham, Richton, Clara, all areas in Mississippi and Alabama that could be affected, all right, by the severe weather here. This is located 8 miles southeast of Goodwater, all right, to Waynesboro, and 10 miles east of Richton to 5 miles south of Beaumont. So that's like kind of like where the location is. And again, let me just turn off again the warnings. Look at that bow echo. You can really see the backward C really start to develop here, and that's really where you get the straight line wind damage, right? And this is where you're gonna see the damaging winds. You're gonna see even some hail and even some tornadoes in this too. But when it takes that backward C motion, that's where we really tend to see the damaging winds. All right, so let's actually turn back on the warnings here. All right, and let's actually turn on the fronts too, because I'd like to see maybe if we can find where our frontal systems are, if that is possible. All right, so yeah, look, that's why I loved it. You can see where the frontal systems are. So let's actually, there's a lot going on in this map. I know that for a fact. So let's actually turn off the wind lines here. All right, and let's actually even turn off the radar maybe even for a sec. All right, so you can see, look at the warm front. We got the cold front here. All right, it's coming through western. The front now is in western portions of Louisiana, western Arkansas here, as you can see. All right, now we got the low wrapped in there in western Missouri, eastern Kansas. You guys might get a shot of snow. All right, even the Mid-Atlantic could get a shot of snow after the rain on Thursday. All right, but you can see the winds flow right into this low pressure system. It's strengthening. All right, then on top of that, we got the warm front that's right here. So that's why for right now, northern Alabama, just like Jason was mentioning, right? In northern Alabama, that's why we're primarily sticking to flood warnings and river flood warnings. All right, but once that warm front pushes through northern Alabama, we'll be getting in that warm sector, and potentially getting some, because you can see south of the front, right? Look how many more severe warnings we have. Look how many more tornado warnings we have. Same with in Missouri, right? Behind the stalled front, you can see we even have a severe warning up in Missouri. And David does ask a good question as well. He said Jackson is in a high risk. We're only getting 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. All right. So again, Jackson, Mississippi. Let me turn the radar back on because I gotta explain this. You guys are not out of the woods yet. All right. So most of it, a good chunk of it has moved through, but there could be some storms firing overnight, right? But this is continuing moving farther east now. And again, even a severe threat as widespread as this, right? We also were talking about the likelihood of supercell. So supercell doesn't impact everybody. So Jackson, even like a few miles away from you, could have got like completely destroyed, while some areas, all right, could have gotten not much. And again, the front is in western Louisiana, so there is the chance, all right, not saying likely, but there is a chance that between, say, Monroe, Alexandria, and Jackson, we could see some storms fire up overnight, even though I do think that a good portion of the weather has moved its way east. But a good question there by David. We could see some refiring of the systems, but again, even a storm threat like we're seeing now, it's not. It's still not a guarantee, right? We do see supercells, and those do impact localized areas. All right, so again, we still have the tornado warning going on through western Alabama. We got the severe warnings. All right, I don't think too many more severe warnings have been added. I do definitely see the main two, right? We got one section here in northeastern portions of Mississippi. We have one, again, southeastern Mississippi and the western Alabama border. Um, However, I do think the flood warnings, let's take a look at the flash flood warnings. Is this a flash flood or aerial flood? This is a flash flood warning. All right, and you can see this is pretty much over the same region as the severe thunderstorm warning was just over. All right, David, thanks for the no problem, David, anytime. All right, keep asking questions if you want in the chat. Feel free to talk about the severe weather. Right, I mean, I'll be trying my best to look at the chat here. All right, so let's look at the flash flood warnings. We definitely do see them in eastern Mississippi, extending into western Alabama now. All right, between 2 and 4 inches of rain has already fallen, and an additional 1 to 3. So if you add that up, that's 3 to 7 inches of rain total here. All right, and again, within that flash flood warning, we have river flood warnings as well. I mean, that is going to be expected. I mean, considering that we're seeing so much rainfall in a short period of time, right? So that's why I want to start talking about the flood threat a little bit, because again, tornadoes very dangerous, but we also have to factor in the flooding. And some people do live by rivers, all right, and that's not good, all right, considering that the rivers could overflow, all right. So we definitely have a lot of river flood warnings. The red might confuse you. The red boxes are not tornado warnings. The red boxes are, again, river flood warnings. The pink boxes, those are tornado warnings. All right, so again, you can see the flash flood warnings, additional 1 to 3 inches of rain within the warning zone. All right, and let's take a look at some of the locations that might get impacted here. Thomasville, Camden, Grove Hill, Pine Hill, Fulton, Pebble Hill, Shepherd, all right, all these areas within this lime green zone here could see some flash flooding. And again, rainfall totals in those regions like 3 to 7 inches, right? And that is a pretty significant. All right, so again, you can see the front. Once that front does lift east and northeast through Alabama, I definitely think we're going to see more tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings. All right, and we have something from David Stewart. He says there's probably been over a dozen tornadoes reported in Alabama, Mississippi, and flooding is also a big problem. Yes, that's exactly. You're making my point. That's what I was just talking about. Flooding is still a very big problem. It's gonna be interesting because when I look at tomorrow, I'll be able to see the storm reports and hopefully be able to show you guys. Maybe I'll put in like a community post just to show, because I can already say there's probably been a good deal number of tornadoes already. And speaking of tornadoes, so one tornado warning just expired in just west of Montgomery, but a new tornado warning has just been issued here through northeastern Mississippi. So you can see this does not stop, right? New tornado warning. This was a severe threat, the severe thunderstorm warning zone. I was just keeping a big eye on, and glad I was, because this Bow Echo line has kind of turned into a tornadic system here. All right, so let's turn on the tornado warning. Let's take a look at it. So this is west central Itawamba County, very unique name. in northeastern Mississippi, southeastern Lee County in northeastern Mississippi, a well-known county there, as well as northwestern Monroe County in northeastern Mississippi. And this goes until 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time, 8:15 p.m. Central Time. And this is moving northeast about 40 miles an hour, so a pretty average speed, man. It's like some systems do, some lines do move a little bit faster, but 40 miles an hour is still a pretty good clip here. This is a radar indicated tornado. Yeah, radar indicated rotation. Flying debris, again, mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. So, mobile home probably not the best bet here. But again, you want to get to the interior level of your house, away from any exterior windows or walls. Basement or storm shelter would be the best two options here in this case. All right, as we're continuing to get updates here. All right, let's move a little bit further south. All right, so we have the tornado warning storm there. Again, even if there's no tornado, winds past 70 miles an hour would probably be a good bet as well. We definitely do have a lot of convection here, even south of that. All right, and it's not really like forming a line, or it's not really getting any rotation south of there. So that's mostly just heavy rain down there. All right, and that's why there are river flood warnings in that zone as well. The zone I'm highlighting in black right here. But tornado warnings could get extended farther south if any of these kind of like want to turn into a line. I think there's a new river flood warning here as well. All right, so as you can see, let's see. Actually, so minor flooding. So this one might actually be coming down a little bit because it says this morning the stage was 7 feet. Flood stage is 14 feet. That could actually be, since that was this morning, it could actually be up right now. But there is a river flood warning there for a reason. So if you live near the Tombigbee River at Bigbee, Mississippi, definitely want to make sure. See, and that's the thing about these systems, because with a tornado warning, you're supposed to go to the lowest level, and then a flood warning, you got to go up, right? So, and that's why in any situations it's particularly dangerous, because sometimes you're just stuck. You really don't know where to go, right? You get flooding, you got to go up. You got tornadoes, you have to go down. All right, so it's definitely not a very easy decision. But the tornado warning, it all depends. A tornado warning, I would probably take that and go to the lower level, and then maybe go to back to your original floor if you start to see flooding going on in your basement. And you can see I feel like the front has moved north a tad bit. I feel like Birmingham is kind of south of the front now, so that's why we're seeing the tornado warnings and the severe warnings break out over northern Mississippi now, because the front is starting to move through, right? But let's not ignore there is a severe thunderstorm warning. Like here is the wraparound, and there could be snow in eastern Kansas. This is the radar. I can't see like what is rain and what is snow, I don't think. Yeah, so this is just like the DBZ. This is just how intense the precip is. I can't really tell if it's snow or rain. But I can pretty much assure you that on the eastern flank here, this is probably rain. On the back side of that, it might be snow. But there is a severe thunderstorm warning that we cannot ignore. There's actually like a couple of regions here. This is around the southwestern portions of Missouri here. All right, and let's look, because there's a couple different regions here. All right, I gotta drink water because I'm losing my voice as I talk. All right, so we have severe thunderstorm warnings, kind of like a couple of regions here. Again, this is moving at 30 miles an hour. It's not moving very fast, and that's why we have flash flood warnings right behind that. So you can see the storms that do move slower are getting more in the way of flooding here. All right, so here we are at the severe thunderstorm warning. So 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, quarter-sized hail. This section also 60-mile-an-hour. So this might actually all be one box. So it looks like it's broken up into 3 boxes here. All right, this is southeastern Webster County in southwestern Missouri. All right, Douglas County in southwestern Missouri, Wright County in southwestern Missouri, and this is until about 9:30 p.m. Eastern time here. All right. So severe thunderstorms were located along the line extending from near Stratford, to 10 miles northeast of Taneyville. And this particular batch is moving 35 miles an hour on the eastern flank. So it's moving a bit faster, all right, on the eastern flank. All right. If you guys have anything to say in the chat, please be sure to say it. I'll probably maybe end the stream about 15 to 20 minutes. So if you guys got anything to say about the severe weather in the chat, again, don't be shy. I will definitely try my best to look over at the chat here. So looking at the southwestern Missouri system, all right, let's actually, again, turn off the warnings, all right? And you can see, here it is. It's kind of like it's kind of got the backwards C. You can definitely see on the radar here that this looks like a pretty dangerous system. And you can see also where the 3 fronts collide. This is where our low pressure system is. Let me actually change colors. to red. All right. So we can see the low. There we go. That's better. So you can see there's a low pressure center right there. You can tell one because we have the precipitation. Let me change the. Let's change back to red again. So you can see the precipitation is moving kind of like this. It almost looks like it's rotating around, almost like a hurricane, right? So that's kind of like how you can tell. So on that northeastern flank of a hurricane is where we usually see the strongest, the most intense precipitation. Well, that's kind of like what we're seeing here. All right, on that northeastern flank, that's where the severe warning is. I just turned off warnings for a sec so you guys could see it a little bit better. All right. I did see some magentas on the radar. They did disappear though. That doesn't really mean it's weakening. It kind of strengthened and weakened back to where it was originally, but still, a very dangerous system here. Take cover. Treat it like it was a tornado warning for sure. And again, guys, please make sure to like the stream if you haven't already. All right, it really does help out and get this to more people. Just saying that to those of you guys joining that are maybe new. All right, so let's zoom out a little bit. See, the map did kind of blur in and blur out, so I'm hoping I'm thinking there's maybe some updates here. So let's see if there were. Let's see, northeastern Mississippi, we still have the tornado warning go on there. So like I did say before, the warned storm west of Montgomery has been allowed to expire, but actually that you're not out of the clear because if you look at Selma, like how I told you guys, Selma was starting to get out of it a little bit. And Selma is like another piece that refired that's going right back into Selma, and this could be just a wind threat. There's no warnings with this anymore, but that doesn't mean you don't take it seriously. Still something a very dangerous situation, right? In these regions here. All right, northeastern Mississippi, we have the tornado warning still ongoing, and we have a couple severe thunderstorm warnings that have popped up. Right, it's like the entire Mississippi Alabama line is just lighting up here with severe thunderstorm warnings. Look how fast this line here is moving. 70 miles an hour. Like, that is really, really fast. It does say 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, but do not be surprised if we get higher than that, because I think that winds will be higher than that. Just because we're moving at 70 miles an hour, that straight line wind threat will be very high. All right, so this system is for northeastern Noxubee and eastern Lowndes counties. All right, in eastern Mississippi, around the Alabama border here. These severe storms will remain over mainly rural areas. Thankfully, it's not as populated generally in the rural areas. Still, one person getting hit by severe weather is one too many. We know that for a fact. All right, but in the rural areas is where the tornadoes, that's where like tornadoes happen a lot in those open fields, right? Even though they could still happen in cities, of course. All right. Severe thunderstorm warning. This one newly issued, I'm pretty sure. This is just east of Philadelphia. The original system, the original batch we were talking about, is now well northeast of Philadelphia. Philadelphia, Mississippi, not Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. All right. So this is just east of Philadelphia, Mississippi, and this was moving northeast at 55 miles an hour, so a bit slower, but still very fast. All right, a 60-mile-an-hour wind gust with this one. Radar indicated we got damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Let's check out the timing with this. This one being near Porterville around 8:55 Eastern, 7:55 Central, and near Electric Mills, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central here. All right. I think, tornado warning may have actually expanded a little bit further east. This one hasn't really changed much, except it's moving northeast at 60 miles an hour now. All right, this is near the Mississippi-Alabama border. Again, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Waynesboro, Butler, Chatham, again, similar areas, except this is still moving towards the east a little bit more. Florida, in terms of Florida, because I know maybe some people watch here from Florida. I don't know. But Florida, there is a river flood warning, but no really systems. No real precipitation I see over Florida, except in the Panhandle is where we're seeing the firing up of this convection, and this is what's going to continue overnight. All right, so this is what it's going to look like overnight, and then some. All right, just because. All right, of just like the convection that we have, the cape that we have, right? We definitely had enough cape. It definitely paid off too. All right, because we got a lot of we have a lot of cape that came in. Got a lot of mixed layer cape as I showed you guys earlier, and that led to a lot of convection developing. All right, so let's take a look now. Let's go back to the radar here, or back to the modeling. And I'm actually going to very soon go back through the Storm Prediction Center maps in case any of you guys may have missed it. But let's take a look at this shear forecast through the NAM 3KM model, right? This is overnight into Thursday morning. Oops, sorry about that. All right. And look at this. You can definitely see very intense shear, similar to what the HRRR model or the HER model was calling for. All right, so there's your shear there coming in with the jet stream, the front lifting north. So there's definitely a lot of shear, and that's really what gets those rotating storms going too. If you guys watch the Weather Channel and you're familiar with their Torcon, a scale that goes 1 to 10, we had Torcon values today of 9, right, which is like basically top of the scale. It's pretty hard to get higher than that. So Torcons of 9 is not really something we see too often. And you can see, looking back again at the Storm Prediction Center map, and this is where you see it. Right in there, right where that pink zone is from the Storm Prediction Center is where we have the higher Torcon values, Tornado Condition Index. All right, so even New Orleans is probably on the enhanced. If you look down here, yeah, New Orleans is in the enhanced threat. So downtown New Orleans, you guys are in it as well. I would say if you live in the southeast, the closer to the Gulf Coast you go, the lower your threat gets, but the threat still exists. I would say peninsula. I mean, the Panhandle of Florida, you can see we do have a slight to even an enhanced risk in the Florida Panhandle, so you guys aren't out of it either. All right, but I would say the peninsula of Florida, you guys are probably not in the severe weather threat. It'll probably be all to your north. Just in case anyone was wondering about Florida. Again, as I said earlier, it moves into the Carolinas in Georgia as we head towards Thursday. Let me actually give this radar a refresh. Let me give this a refresh so that way we can look at the radar here. I like to look at this radar just because we can see individual systems and we can track like the severity of them, and I feel like that would be something that we could do here. So let's look at this is the Weather Channel radar here, and as you can see individual systems, and we can see what it's looking like out there. So let's look. If we go back to this radar, right, and we actually before we do that, let's actually look because we have a brand new tornado warning that has just been issued in eastern portions of Mississippi. This is the one that was just east of Philadelphia. I was just talking to you guys about. This is moving. This is the one that's been moving at 70 miles an hour here, and it's going to be continuing to move through. So let's zoom in here on the east on this, right? The severe thunderstorm warning is still there, but the tornado warning now exists in that, and let's read up on that and get you the latest from that. So let's go into the tornado warning. All right, and this is National Weather Service from Jackson, Mississippi here. And this is a tornado warning for eastern Kemper County and east central Mississippi. Still moving. This is moving. Maybe it might have slowed down a bit now. 55 miles an hour. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. This is radar indicated. So most of these don't get me wrong. These could still spawn in tornadoes, but most of these that I've read about so far have been like radar indicated, capable of producing tornado type systems, right? And then maybe the tornado could have touched down, and then that's why it expired. Some of the tornado warnings expired because the tornadoes have already touched down. So hopefully tomorrow, stay tuned to the community tab or community post section. Maybe I'll post there the storm reports that we've had, because in some areas, storm reports, I can imagine a lot of tornadoes, right? If you look at March 13th, we had about 30 tornadoes on that day just in a little tiny area in the Texas Panhandle here, and a few more people are joining. Thank you guys so much for joining. Again, be sure to like this stream and get it out to more people. It really would make my day, and it would make the people's day because they'd be getting the latest forecast here. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, as we're taking a look, and again, in case you guys just joined, didn't see, brand new tornado warning here in eastern Mississippi. All right, let's zoom out a little bit. So since the radar got an update, we can see. So and I feel like as each tornado warning expires, a new one comes in. Because the one in northeastern Mississippi has, I think, expired. I don't see a pink box there anymore. So it may have expired there. All right. And I mean, so much so because these systems are moving pretty fast. And also because that one probably expired pretty quickly because it's pretty close to the front. And as it's getting closer and eventually that storm system might cross the warm front, it might be getting into some slightly cooler air and maybe not as conducive for that heat energy that those systems really feed off of. So that could have been why the tornado warning could have expired there. But still, severe thunderstorm warnings are still in effect And I just find it very neat how you can see this. This is why the radar kind of makes my point here. The severe thunderstorm warnings are all south of the front, right? If you are not south of that front, you're not in that warm sector. That's really need to get those storms going. Like look at Alabama, all right. Even if it's not severe warning, right? And I don't care. You can see. I mean, obviously I do care, but I'm saying what I'm saying is even if it's not severe warned, these systems are still packing quite a punch. Like there's the Selma west of Montgomery system I've been talking about a lot over the stream as well, right? That's still ongoing. Selma's still getting pounded right in the thick of it, right? If we look at near Tuscaloosa and just here west, right, you got like a kind of like a line is starting to come together here. So you can definitely see where a lot of the strongest activity is. But as long as that front stays here, I mean the front will be moving. But as long as the front is where it is right now, if you're north of that front, north of the front, warm front, I would be more worried about maybe heavy rain. And then south of there will be the tornadoes and the severe thunderstorm warnings. I've been keeping an eye on Louisiana. I don't see too much. I mean, maybe even had a little bit of a dry line forming in southern Louisiana. If you're familiar with that, out ahead of the dry line is where you have those intense lines of storms, and that's what we're seeing here. There's still a special marine warning we have issued for Lake Pontchartrain. Let's see. Line of storms moving through again. Winds, and these are sustained winds. By the way, of 40 knots. All right, those aren't. Those are not like winds inside of the thunderstorm. Those will be much higher, of course. All right, but no severe warned activity here with any of this line of storms farther south. This is Huma. This is Thebo Dogs. I hope I'm saying that right. And this is getting close to New Orleans. All right, I can't wait to see when this gets close to New Orleans. All right, I'll be definitely, hopefully, be showing you guys that as well, because this is getting pretty darn close at this point to New Orleans. All right, we still got the severe thunderstorm warning. I'm trying to keep you guys up to date on all these. Still got a severe thunderstorm warning here. This batch moving at 60 miles an hour. All right, let's shut off the warnings again just so we can see the radar itself. Let's turn off warnings. There we go. All right, so you can see it maybe has lost a little bit of strength. You can see like the northern branch of that kind of broke off a little bit. And it also seems to be like it lost a little bit of its red color, but it's still a line of systems. Remember the colors of the radar, it's pretty much the intensity of precipitation. This is still, by the shape of this, this is still a very bow echo, like a backward C type thing. And you might be thinking, might be wondering, why do these backward C type systems produce the damaging winds so much? Well, right, the winds come in so strong from the west like that it kind of puts that backward C in the system, because if the storm was originally a line, right? Most of these stars originally as a line. Then the wind kind of like pulverizes, it gets right in the middle of that, and then turns it into that backward C line. And that's why the damaging wind and the straight line wind threats are so significant here in those same regions. So let's re-enable our warnings. All right. And we're gonna actually disable, let's actually turn on watches. All right, and you can so you guys can see where the tornado watches are. Maybe I can get rid of the warnings. That'd be great. All right, there we go. So I want to turn to the watches now just to show you guys where some of the watches that we have, because we've been talking about a lot about warnings over this stream, and I want to turn to some of the watches that we still have out. All right, so Jackson, Mississippi, you guys are not in the tornado watch anymore. All right, so this moved out pretty quickly, thank goodness. Damage behind. We're gonna be looking at that. But tornado watch has been allowed to expire even for Baton Rouge, but you guys are still seeing a few showers left over here in those regions. Again, just east of Jackson, but we still got the tornado watches here through southeastern Louisiana. We see it through even down to Mobile and Dauphin Island there, all the way down to the Gulf Coast. You guys are in it as well. All right, so let's pull up here. You can see eastern Mississippi. We got the tornado watches, the PDS, the particularly dangerous situation tornado watches through Alabama. All right, and you can just see like the direction that these are moving in. So Birmingham, it will be close to you guys pretty short. Like it's pretty darn close to you guys. Again, once this front lifts farther north, then you're going to see the severe storms work their way in. Because this is pushed, this warm front, I can see it's kind of advanced a little bit. It's pushed well north of Birmingham at this point. All right. And I think the front placement of which this particular map has it is pretty accurate, just because it just south of the front is where we see all the tornado activity and severe thunderstorm activity. So I think the front placement here is pretty accurate as of right now, and we'll see if that changes, if that front moves as we head a little bit further on in time. And look at all the flood watches that we have, right? And even tornado watches do exist in Missouri, and we might actually have a tornado warning. All right, let's see if we do have a brand new tornado warning. We might actually have one because it just popped up for me. So let's disable watches. We're gonna re-enable warnings. All right, boom, there we go. All right, let's re-enable them. All right, disable watches. All right, there we go. We have a brand new tornado warning. All right, ring, ring, ring. All right, that's my simulation of a bell. But brand new tornado warning with that same system, because the storm I didn't want to leave out, that's in southwestern Missouri, is where we do now have a tornado warning. It's embedded within a severe thunderstorm warning, but there is now a brand new tornado warning here as well. And I hope you guys have been enjoying the stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. All right, if we pull up this tornado warning here, look how slow this is moving. We had 35, then 30. Now it's moving at 25 miles an hour to the north and east. And I gotta say, for a hurricane, that's slow. For severe weather, no, for a hurricane, that's fast. For severe weather, this is slow. All right, this is a radar indicated rotation. Flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. So make sure you seek that shelter. All right, again, in the interior part of your house, center part of your house, away from walls, away from exterior windows, basement and storm shelter again, if you live there. All right, so this is moving again 25 miles an hour. That is pretty slow. I gotta say, 25 miles an hour for severe weather. That is pretty slow. Thank you guys so much. If you guys are just tuning in now, be sure to drop a like on the stream. It really does help get it out to more people. All right, hopefully you guys are. Thank you so much. All right. Looking at the tornado warning, and again, these are all radar indicated, most of these. So this could mean either the tornado could be touching down pretty soon. These are all capable of producing tornado. These systems are all capable of producing tornadoes, and some of these could be touching the ground pretty soon, right? As I drew out maybe 10 minutes ago, you can see here's the low center, right? The low is right where these three fronts kind of collide right here. So there's your low center, and then wrapping around to the north of that. All right, so there's our brand new tornado warning. I think we have two. Yeah, we have two tornado warnings going simultaneously here. One in southern and southwestern Missouri, and the other one now in eastern central Mississippi. All right, and the rain again. Don't forget about the rainfall threat either. The rainfall threat will be there again. If we look at the Weather Prediction Center, as you guys can see, the slight risk through today extends over a large area: Illinois, Missouri, down through Mississippi and Alabama, and then in through day 2. Again, this will be Thursday. The severe weather threat will be farther south, and then the excessive rainfall threat will be farther north, potentially for mid-Atlantic. And Asterix, no problem. You're watching from Atlanta. No problem. Glad to keep you guys informed. And actually, now you mentioned, let's actually take a closer look here at Atlanta. All right, as you guys can see, Atlanta, luckily right now, at least Metro downtown, is north of the warm front. All right, so that's good news. Well, kind of good news in the sense you guys won't be getting any severe weather. Atlanta's even in the cleared right now, right? It's a little cooler. It's a little more condensed out ahead of the front. But once that front comes through, all right, the warm front will live through first. You'll get to severe weather. It's gonna feel a lot more muggier. It's gonna feel a lot more. It's just like you could just feel the instability in the air. And then you're gonna be in that warm sector, right in between the cold and the warm front. And then once the cold front comes through, the severe weather will push through. Everything will clear out behind that. All right. So making our way further south here, you can see severe thunderstorm warnings through Mississippi and Alabama. So all in all here, looking like a pretty dangerous situation, particularly dangerous situation. So I want to thank you guys all for watching. I am the Weather Dude, signing off till next time. I hope to catch you guys soon in another video. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Be sure to like, and I will catch you guys in another update.